Hi, I'm joined with amazing guest speaker, Marvin Ambrosius. He is a part or he's a trainer of Fit and Five, and he's a presenter of Sky TV, and he's also an amazing personal trainer. How you doing, mate? You good?
I'm good. Thank you very much, man. Thanks so much for having me.
You're welcome, mate. I've been really looking forward to this today. And we had a chat before you come on live. And I
Yeah.
want to start with the Fit and Five, with because you've trained some amazing people, haven't you?
Yeah, no, I've been really fortunate to have people as guests on my show. So I had on, because there was a total of four series, and the first series was with Melanie Sykes and Kirsty Gallagher. And both of them, when they were asked to come on the show, they were like, "Oh, it's just 5 minutes workouts. They've only got to do four of them. They'll be fine." And then it was so funny when we were filming, and they were like, "I'm exhausted," because both of them were people that just done weights. They were only doing weightlifting at the time. So in terms of the cardiovascular work, they were out of breath, they were tired, but it was good because live you could see the benefits to them, that they were actually in great physical condition. So it then allowed other people that wanted to get fit to see that, wait a second, if they're struggling with these 5 minutes, then this can be tough, but it can also be beneficial for you to build up on your fitness over time. And then as time went on, that series had 1.2 million
Wow.
downloads in 2 weeks. It was like a record ranking show of all time on in terms of the on-demand service.
Hmm.
And because of that, we got the second series, which was then with Sarah J. Me and Lisa Snowden. And that again had to up the ante on that series. So I had to make things a bit more at my pace. So
Yeah.
it's so funny when I watch them back. Series two is probably the most difficult one in terms of the actual workouts.
Hmm.
They're quite intense, and like I'll sometimes go, let me try that one and go, whew, this is really good. And then series three, I tried to meet it in the middle and bring it back to one and twos where I kind of pulled and pushed. And we did a sponsorship deal with Fitbit. So
Yes.
we were utilizing their system of heart rates, whether they were in fat burn, whether they're in cardiovascular, and when they were in peak. So I made sure that all the workouts were at those levels. So we knew if someone was new, they'd use fat burn.
Yes.
If they wanted to go to cardio, they knew which ones to go. So it was quite good in terms of that actual pairing. And then we had Sarah Jane was great. She was already doing cardio. Lisa Snowden was fantastic. And then the third and final series I did was with Kelly Brook and Gavin Jones. And that series to me was probably one of the funnest ones I've done because I got quite a lot of me in that series in terms of my personality, what I'm about, like what I'm trying to do. And it
Yeah.
was kind of like, and at that point as well, it didn't feel like, oh, I'm on a set, I'm in my show. And it was like, no, this is just what I do. Like, this is just my everyday thing. So I felt even more comfortable. If anything,
Yeah.
it's like, I wish I could do that show every day of the week. I always
Yeah.
wish I could have a new desk. It's just that it felt so good. And probably the most proudest moment of those series was the kids series, which was basically we did a 4-part series for kids only, where I had 2 kids working out with me, and that was for the Sky Kids channel. And that, to be honest, that has had more, I'd say, more people and more families watching that than anything. I've had more celebrity parents contact me
Yeah.
based on that than anyone. Like, it was great. Like Martine McCutcheon was posting me online because her son's been doing my workouts for 2 years, which I had no idea. And then I had her on my podcast show because just to talk about like how it affected her life, because it wasn't just
Yeah.
about the child's, it was like it ended up affecting her and her physical state. So yeah, it was great. But the formula behind that whole series was based on my own weight loss journey, which is
Yeah.
crazy in itself.
Which what we're going to go into actually, because we had a good chat beforehand. But I love how the fact that you completely went against the grain probably at the time, because it was all about, I think at least they got to was like 20 minutes, all these popular workouts.
Yeah,
You've actually went a bit further and said, actually, we can do it in 5 minutes. I love that.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. And because people were saying to me, you can't do anything in 5 minutes. And I'd say, well, I've been teaching classes for a while now, and I'd been teaching that structure of 5 minutes in my classes. So I'd been testing it out, and I'd seen that people were way more exhausted and tired at the pace I was doing it. So I thought, if
Mm.
I slow this down to someone who's brand new in fitness, or let's say to the old version of myself that was new to fitness when they were overweight, how would I have felt about these workouts? They
Mm.
would have worked out perfectly for me because they didn't hinder on your time. You
Yeah.
could manage your time. If you didn't have an hour to work out and you only had 20 minutes, I do 4 rounds. If I've got 30 minutes, I do 5 rounds. So it just kind of worked it works for the individual rather than it working for everybody else.
Great stuff. And now that's that time. We're going to take you all the way back to when you was 11, because we were kind of talking about this, that we're
Yeah.
opposite spectrums. But you was actually the overweight kid, weren't you? Who played a lot of
Yeah.
sports.
Yeah. So like I think that is down to body type as well. Like the kind of kid I was that I love my food. I do, and I've always loved my food. I've always been a really fussy eater growing up, and I always ate, I would say, beige foods and burgers. I love pizzas. Like I was just that kid. But I was also playing basketball around 4 to 5 times a week. So I was probably
Wow.
burning way more than what I was eating. But my body at that age, I was a puppy fat kid. I just had like puppy fat on me the whole time. All my pictures, I've got like big cheeks and like no one would know that if I went to play basketball with them, I was a nightmare. Like I was one of the best, but at my age, I was like the best, probably in the top 5 in the country at my age, between the age of probably 8 and 17. And when I got to my second year in secondary school, I remember like someone saying to me, "Your weight's just going to fall off now," and I was like, "Okay," but I wasn't really conscious of my weight at the time. My dad, luckily, I didn't have parents that make me aware that I was overweight. They didn't once tell me I was overweight, which I'm so thankful for,
Yeah,
because I
that's
never had
really
a complex
good.
about it.
Yeah.
They just let me get on with it, and then all of a sudden I grew about 6 inches in one summer, and then I was just skinny and tall, and I started getting all this attention, and because I was humbled to who I was, I
Yeah.
maintained the same personality. But my basketball, I was never humble in basketball. I was always like, this is me, I'm going to be really gritty and play hard. And so that stayed, but I just got better because of it. And because of that competitive nature, I ended up playing for England international at 13s, and I played for under 15. I was like the youngest on the under 15s team because I was 13 and everyone was 2 years older.
Yeah.
So
What
that
height
was
was
like,
you? Was you 5'10", did you say?
I was 5'8" at that time.
So he's quite short for a basketball player, is that right?
Yeah, I was really short. But like I always laugh with my friends. I'm 6'2" now. I thought I was going to be about 6'6". That's what I was told I was going to be. But what's annoying, what's funny is I'm the short friend. That's
Yeah.
what everybody's like. I'm the short. So I have a bit of not a height complex, but when anybody says to me, "You're quite tall," I laugh because all my best friends are 6'7", 6'8", 6'10", and I'm the little friend that walks with them, and it's always been like that. So to me, being in any other environment where I'm the tall one, I just laugh. I have to laugh it off.
Yeah. I train Nicholas, who's around about 17, and he's actually going towards becoming a professional basketball player himself, actually,
Oh,
for
awesome.
Eagles all the way up in Newcastle. But he's 6'6", and I have to
Exactly.
look up, he's huge. But you can tell he's probably got more to go, you know?
Exactly. And that's the thing, in certain exercises and things that he does, he probably will stretch a few more inches. It's
Yeah.
completely crazy.
So yeah, so you actually become international for was that for England in the end? Was
Yeah,
it?
For England and Great Britain. Yeah, so I did for
Wow.
both, and then I played. It was from 13 till 18. I played for under 19 England, and I actually made captain of England when I was 17. And that was in France. I remember that. It was an honor, like to be said, you're
Yeah.
captain. And I was like, wow. And I was like, and I remember mentally, I feel like I was ready to be captain at that time.
Yeah.
Anytime previous to that, nah, I weren't ready to be captain. But when your confidence gets to a certain point and you know in yourself that you can bring other people up to play better, because that's what being a captain's about. It's making other people better around you.
Yeah.
It's not about you. It's about getting everybody else involved. When I was younger, it was all about me.
Yeah.
But as I got older, I was like, yeah, I get it. I understand. This is what it is.
And then you had that little bit of conflict around the age of 19, didn't you, when you was playing?
Yeah. So with all the amazing stories of basketball, I have so many pitfalls of injury. So probably I never had one single year where I never had a major injury, like from probably the age of 14 upwards. Every year I had a major injury. And I think it was when I was 17, there was 2 injuries. One that injured me for 10 months, which I had cartilage in my knee and I couldn't play at all. I had to wait for an operation that took 10 months for me to have. So in that time, you can imagine my head was just spinning.
Yeah, of course.
It was like,
Yeah.
what am I going to do with my life if I'm not playing basketball? And other people would say to me, you can't play basketball now, what are you going to do? And it did get to me. It did get to me. And like, probably needed to see a sports psychologist at the time, which at the time there wasn't a lot of.
Yeah.
And I wish that, I do wish I could go back sometimes and go, what conversation would I have had with myself knowing what I know now? And I probably would have made myself be little less hard on myself and say, you've got loads of time, just kind of like rehabilitate, but rehabilitate for a longer period of time, because I always came back too early. Every
Yeah.
as soon as I felt like I could play, I played, and
Yeah. Yeah.
that just put me. And because when some people say you're not built for this league. I can honestly say my body was not built to be a professional athlete. It just isn't. It's just breakable. And there's athletes now that do that are getting paid millions, and every year they get injured
Yeah.
because their bodies they're just not built to do it. It's just
Yeah.
like they can't keep hammering and putting that progressive overload in their body all the time. It's just gonna wear down quicker. And some people are superhuman.
Yeah. The bodies can handle it. Kind of. It's probably down to the weight to strength ratio to a certain degree,
Yeah.
what they naturally have. So I'm sure that all contributes. And how long was it before you went, that's it, I'm out?
I think I played in a tournament when I was 18, and I was playing. I came back from an injury. This was another injury. This is the ankle injury I came back from. And I was playing at probably the peak level, to the point where I remember every single time I shot the ball, I knew it was going in. Like, I was so at my game where I was like, no matter where I went or played, I was going to be seen as one of the best players there. And I
Yeah.
knew I could do that anywhere. And when I got to it, I remember we lost the game, but I couldn't be stopped in this game I was playing. Nobody could stop me, but we lost. But it didn't matter because of how I played.
Yeah.
And I remember like a coach from America approaching me, and I went to an invitational camp, and then they scouted me to go to college. Came back to the UK, was playing in I was playing in the men's games, and I was still playing in the junior games as well. So I was doing both. So I'd have a junior game and play in the men's game straight after that game. Mental. I don't even know how we were doing. If I thought of doing something like that now, I'd collapse.
Yeah.
But at the time, that was the kind of fitness level I was on. So I did that all the time. And then one day, again, it happened. Another horrible injury.
Yeah.
And then that for me, that injury, that was it. I looked at my mum, I looked at my dad, and I was just like, I can't do this
It was
anymore.
like the straw that broke the camel's back. He was out.
Yeah. I just said, I just can't. I said, I can't. I said, my dad always taught me from a young age, the work you put in is what you get out.
Yeah.
Always. And it got to a point where I'm like, I'm giving everything and I'm getting nothing back.
Yeah.
And I don't believe in that in life in general. I feel like you can't keep putting money into a slot machine and eventually you're supposed to win and you just keep losing. I said, I just can't do it anymore. And I think that's why I never I don't regret stop playing. I just know I did the right decision for actually now. No, it wasn't a buzzword at the time, but for my own mental health, it was the right thing to do.
Yeah, I can totally understand that. There's only so much you're going to do. And if you keep going in that cycle, it's like, I'm out. And then at that point, what was your physique like at that point? Was you quite tall and fit at that point, would you say?
I was really thin and dangling. I was just really thin. The only muscle I had, funny enough, was a triceps.
Right.
And the only reason why that was because I'm on crutches all the time. How funny is that? Like, literally, I had tricep muscle. That's my strongest muscle group, even to date now, is my triceps. And I always say to people, the reason why is because I was on crutches all the time. So that muscle group got exercised so often. I said the same, if somebody's in a wheelchair and somebody, like, everybody knows their arms, strongest assets, their shoulders, their triceps, their forearms. But when I was on crutches, I'd realized, I was like, wow, this is why my upper body got so much stronger, because I was constantly just lifting my body weight all the time. Wow. Doing that 8-9 weeks at a time, 10 weeks at a time. When I used to go back to basketball, my legs would be wobbly all the time after playing for a couple of weeks, but my arms and upper body just felt fantastic.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
So what was next? So you got injured, you decide basketball wasn't for you anymore. Did you feel there was a little bit of a gap? Were you trying to search on what was next for you?
No, I actually went into music prior to playing basketball. So I was going to the studio with my sister a lot, and I would dabble in things, and I knew I could do stuff. And then one day I went to a studio session with my friend and my cousin and a guy called DJ Paleface, who, funny enough, I did a song with last year. He actually produced One Dance for Drake.
Wow.
And, that's crazy. Like, who he ended up being was nuts. Like, he ended up killing it. and we did this song called "Splash Your Love on Me." Hilarious, and it was a garage song, and that was before getting injured. But
By the way, I loved garage back around that
yeah,
era
it
as
was
well.
that kind of garage rock, because he was. You've probably heard of Crazy Cousins.
Yeah, yeah.
Like he's Crazy Cousins. So he ended so and this is before Crazy Cousins. This is I was working with him, and he kind of like him and my cousin made me feel like I'm actually good at this. Like I wasn't just in the studio,
Yeah.
and they were encouraging me like, you got to come back to the studio. You've got to do this. Like you're actually really good. And I was like, oh, whatever, because I play basketball. I don't really care. My sister does music. I don't do music, so I just didn't really take it serious. But when the injuries hit, that was when I started making some phone calls and started writing and saying, all right, this might be, let's see how good I am at this. So I started doing studio sessions with people, started going to work with people. And then next thing you know, one song turned into 10 turned into 20. And then I just kind of found my niche in what I liked doing and working with people. And then I managed to land myself a publishing contract with ZTT, which was like Pet Shop Boys, Seal.
Yes.
And did a really good deal with them. And then I was working with them for about 2 years. But in that time, did I go to the gym? No. Did I touch a basketball once? Probably not.
Yeah.
And I was eating Chinese, Domino's, chip shop, processed food. I don't remember having a cooked meal in a long time. Everything was takeaway. Like I didn't
Say I saw the music video on YouTube, and your face looked different. You know.
Yeah, like it's complete. And funny enough, I'd lost weight by that point. That's what's so funny. So that's part of the many faces of Marv, I call it, because if you look at all my pictures, I look different, and it's because I just have one of those bodies where 5 pounds makes a big difference to me.
Yeah.
Like if I lost 5 pounds from right now, I'll get gaunt. I'll start to get gaunt.
Yeah.
And people are like, are you okay? Like I have to find this in between weight that works for me. And but I know which one right now is probably my best weight to be at. But like there's certain things I'm like, you've got your own goals that you want to hit in body fat. But I know unfortunately those there's like 3 pounds I want to lose now, but it's not actually pounds. It's just I want to lose a percentage of fat.
Yes.
But the problem is it will come off my face.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things. It's like you can't control it.
Similar dilemma with when I used to do the fitness modeling.
Yeah.
It was the problem that whilst I got my physique really looking good, the face went,
Yeah.
I've never looked my best on doing that because of that.
Your body would look its best, but if you look at your face, it's when everybody would say, when you're wearing clothes, are you okay?
Yeah, it didn't.
You're like,
it's
all here.
Yeah.
It's all there, but it's just one of those things where you just kind of like, when you know your body and you finally understand it, you can work towards it. And that's what I didn't know. So with eating all this food and not working out, I think I don't know the time frame of when I realized that not only have you put on weight, you were literally a completely different person. I don't know how long it took for me to realize that you are now a double XL. You're not a medium or a large anymore. You've gone to a double XL out of nowhere.
Was that around 23? Was it around that
Yeah,
age?
that was about 23 years. That was about 20. That was about 2003. That was. I'll give away my age now. I don't mind. And and with that, it was like I went to visit my sister in America quite a lot of times with my wife. And my sister was introducing us to all, what the food's like in America. She lived in Philadelphia, and I couldn't eat enough. Like I just ate, and we were there for like 3 weeks. I think I put on about 2 stone on that one trip. But what's crazy is when I got back, when you go on holiday and you come back and the holiday's over, no, that didn't happen for me, because I was back in the studio again doing what? Eating takeaways, same habits, like nothing changed. I didn't actually go back to a lifestyle where it was any healthier than what I was in. It was just I was eating slightly less, but I was still in a surplus of calories.
Yeah, you kind of escalated from where you left off, sort of thing. Yeah.
And it just went up and up and up. And next thing you know, I'm at the stage where I'm looking at myself in the mirror and I don't even recognize who I'm looking at.
Yeah, that must be frightening when it gets to that stage. I reckon you'll be the sort of type where you could pull off most of the weight where you got to anyway. You probably could hold it.
Yeah, well, a lot of people called me, my nickname, even now for people now, is still Big Marv, because people met me at my biggest weight and people have met me at my fittest weight. Yeah. So, but those people still call me Big Marv because they knew me as Big Marv. So somebody asked me the other day, why did they call you Big Marv? I said, I used to be 6 stone heavier than I am now. So they call me Big Marv, but that person has no idea who that Marvin is. But I'm like, well, I'm the same person. I'm just smaller.
Yeah.
That's all it is. I have different behavioral patterns. I have new ways of thinking, which I'm trying to give to other people. So I think sometimes with experience comes the best knowledge and the best education. I think that's where my transference into fitness really catapulted me into having more of the emotional and psychological understanding of what it means to start exercise, continue exercise, and see it through as not just something to do for now, but to do something forever.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, it's interesting in terms of that we're opposite spectrums like that. So if I have a lot of bad food and I don't train, I think how I feel hits me so quickly. Whereas some people they don't get that, do they? It just comes on their physique.
Yeah.
It's a lot later where they go, actually, I'm starting to feel a bit sluggish now.
Yeah, and with you, it's like it's an instantaneous thing, and it's funny you should say that because the other day on my birthday, about 2 weeks ago, every birthday I'm having my cheat day. Like that's my day. So I have my breakfast that I want, but the next day I feel awful. But I didn't feel like that before when I was eating badly. I just kept on eating, and I was like, I'm in the bathroom, I'm like running back and forth to the toilet, my stomach's rumbling, I'm cramping, and I'm just like, do you know what? I don't know if it's age or what, but my body's trained itself to know this is not right. Like this is not working for you at all. And I think that's why I say to people, listen to your body, but really listen to it. Like listen to your body, because your body will tell you when you're doing something wrong.
Yeah, I think that's the whole positive of doing some sort of cleanse because it gets your body in tune again, doesn't it? Because
Exactly.
obviously the body can adapt so quickly. So if you're used to having that, consuming that food, the body would then adapt to feel like that's the homeostasis, that's the norm. You know,
Exactly. It's
that's
like a good example is my first ever case study when I was becoming a PT was a colleague of mine, Bempa. And the first thing that we were doing when I was getting the foods that he eats and he drinks, his main issue was, and I looked at it, I was like, oh, you drink 4 cans of Coke a day? He was like, yeah. And I was like, oh, this is going to be simple. I said, all right, then there's 158 calories in a can of Coke. So this is how much calories you're having a week on Coca-Cola. And when you went through that, it was like, what? I'm like, yeah, you're exceeding 2 days worth of food on just Coca-Cola. And I said, so all we're going to do is reduce the Cokes, do your 3 times a week workout, reduce the Cokes by 1 every week. And he lost 2 stone. He couldn't believe it. But this is when I found out about your love for food and what's good for you and what's bad for you. Sometimes it's awful for you to take away something that you enjoy and not have it at all, because you're more likely to fall off the wagon and slip away.
Yeah.
So what I realized was, let me reduce it, so then he has more of an understanding and wants towards to do it. So that actually worked better.
Yeah, because we're going to go forward now because I've got written down here around 32. Is that, and so that would be 2012, is that right?
So 32, I was 2013, yeah. Yeah, you're close, yeah, 2013. So that was just after the 2012 Olympics, I remember. That was when I was in my yo-yo dieting phase, where I was having all different types of foods and like training a little bit, doing more weights than cardio, because I kind of stayed away from cardio. But again, when I was saying to you about my body type, I put on mass really easy. So doing anything, let's say if I'm bench pressing or doing dumbbell press of anything over 25, I'm putting on significant size. I'm probably putting on size someone's doing 35s, 40s, but my body just reacts really quick. But because I'm not having a deficit in calories, I'm eating more than what I'm supposed to. I'm just big. I'm just like, I'm more like an American football player than a running back, unfortunately. So what I did was I realized that at that age, I was like, I need to do something about this. And that's when I sought some advice and guidance, where I only had sometimes 25 minutes, 30 minutes on a lunch break. And my guidance was to just reduce, not even reduce carbs, it was to reduce fat and sugar.
Yeah.
And I looked at my sugars. I was having 2 to 3 cups of coffee a day, at least 2 to 3 sugars in each cup.
Right.
So that was my first reduction, was that. So I reduced everything to 1 sugar. That was my first reduction. And then when I saw the 5 pounds come off the first week from doing the training I was doing, I went, okay, let me reduce another sugar. And then I lost 2 pounds the next week. And then I looked at all my other aspects of my eating and went, what can I enjoy but reduce? So it was all about the reducing factor rather than taking
Yeah.
away. Whereas all the other times I'd done any diets before, whether it was a liquid diet, an abstinence diet, that was all about you just remove everything that you love.
Extreme, isn't it? Yeah.
Extreme. It's just so extreme. Your brain can't even comprehend what you're doing, and then
No.
your body can't catch up with it, because it's like, first of all, you're giving me this many sugars a day, and then all of a sudden you're not going to give me anything. It's just a bit confusing. So I think it takes a while for you to process. But when you're doing it like that, it just allowed me to make better informed choices, better decisions, not feel bad about what I am eating, what I'm not eating. My biggest concern was, am I going to get to train today? That's what it became about. It wasn't about the food anymore. It's like, I need to train today because I actually love it, how it makes me feel.
Yes. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it wasn't about being exhausted or beasted. It was like, I just love that feeling at the end of a workout and during it, where I'm like, I'm in it, and I know I'm doing something for myself. I know it's doing something beneficial for me, and I know I'm feeling good. I'm getting my endorphin release, and then afterwards, just wanted to just chug a nice 2 liter glass of water.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny how your body need shifts. So it was shifting from them releases from the food, but
Mm.
because you was eating more adequately, it was going, I want that release from exercise. It went more towards that, didn't it, in a way?
Yeah, exactly. And it's hard to explain that sometimes with people when they're in the course of their own journey. And that's why I always relate it back to my own when I have any clients or when I have anybody working online. I explain to them the stages. When people talk about the stages of grief, and the stages of weight loss is the same. You go through so many different things emotionally that sometimes you're not ready for the things that are going to be interacting with you. Sometimes there's family and friends that will bring you down and say, oh, you've lost too much weight now, no more, no more, you look fine. But it's like, but you, the same people that were telling me I didn't look good before.
Yeah.
So it's really confusing. But then you start to listen to those people, and then you start eating badly again, put the weight back on, and they're like, oh, you're putting a bit of weight there. And then you're fighting this battle when you don't realize that what
Yeah,
you need to do
definitely.
is continue on your journey, get to where you're going. Other people at some point won't say anything, because the only thing they're going to be able to do is look at themselves and realize that whatever you're doing, I need to have a piece of that.
Mm, yeah.
And that's what you do. You just let them talk until you don't need them to talk anymore.
Yeah. And that's brilliant. I mean, it's great listening to your journey in the sense that, look, you've done it all really, haven't you? You know, you went from being that overweight child, really sporty,
Mm,
then you went shoot it up, really tall, professional
mm.
in sport, basketball player, then doing the opposite spectrum, sitting down
Nothing.
and literally not doing anything. And then obviously then you went to that moment where you went, okay, I do need to start changing something. So then you started doing, which I'm in synergy with you, by the way, when I train people, it's all about them small little changes rather than letting
Yeah,
it get them too overwhelmed. And in long term, them small changes, you then find that sustainable diet or
yeah,
that nutrition or whatever it is which serves that person. And like you said, if you have a weekend, you can enjoy it. It's no
yeah.
problem.
Have a great time. Like, yeah, go to the barbecue. Have the barbecue. Like, if I have a barbecue, I know exactly what I'm going to eat. I have the amount that I'm going to eat. I know what damage it's going to do, but I'm not going to be thinking about it consciously to the point where I'm going to not enjoy myself.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't make any sense. But I'm not going to go to a barbecue 2 days in a row. That's just not going to happen. And that's just because, like, physically, my stomach can't take that.
Yeah.
Like, it's got to that point now where it's like, I don't know if I can handle that type of food 2 days in a row. So, like, naturally, I want to have, like, not a detox. Like tonight, like, for instance, like, we went to a food court on Saturday and didn't have anything bad. It was just like this wrap with meat inside of it, but it was quite heavy, and it was something, it was a bit greasy. It's something that I wouldn't have. And just from having that alone, I was like, definitely I'm gonna just have veg and chicken tonight, just because it's gonna. And that was a daytime food that we had, but the dinner had to be light, just based on how it made me feel. I
Yes.
didn't want to feel heavier. And that's what I'm saying. When you know your body, you start to understand that it's not about what you want to eat or taste, because that's what I'm all about. I'm a taste person.
Yeah.
Love the taste of food, but I never thought about how it made me feel.
Mm.
I just wanted to have the flavors and the taste, but not realizing that I'm actually going to feel awful after this. Whereas now I'm like, no, actually, I'm going to have this because after I'm going to feel quite content. I'm going to feel cool.
Yeah.
That's what it's about.
So obviously, like myself, you love to help people. How long have you been doing the personal training, the Fit and Five? How long has that been now?
Well, the Fit in Five actually was born when I found my fitness, when I started doing Insanity, and that was at 33. And that was when I started doing that. So it's actually not that long ago. It's nearly only like less than 10 years. And after doing Insanity for about, I think it was about 3 months, I realized I wasn't losing any weight, which was really weird. And that was just because, again, I hadn't changed any of my food habits. I just kept on drinking my tropical juice, which was a 2 liter, 350 calorie bottle of pure sugar, just pure sugar as well. So obviously, when we know about being Peters, we know that all my body was doing was storing the fat from the sugar. That's all it was. That's all it was doing. So after the workout, yeah, you burned all those calories, but we'll just keep the fat on that you're trying to lose.
Replace it.
You're just replacing what you've just done. You're still losing calories, but and your cardiovascular is getting better, but we'll keep you overweight. And that's what essentially kept on happening. But when I finally changed those behaviors, I lost all the weight, and then my lunch breaks got shorter. So what I had to do was make an adaptation to my training regime. And what I started to do was pick out all my favorite workouts and individual workouts. And I said, let me see how I can devise to make this a short form workout. And then my wife turned around and said to me, why don't you do 5-minute workouts? And I was like, I said, how's that going to work? She said, well, just try it. And I was like, oh, okay. And I just tried it. I went, okay, cool. And that was how Fit in 5 was born. She just told me to try it. And then I said, I came up with the formula, which I said, okay, 30 seconds each exercise. So that's still part endurance, muscular endurance. That's 30 seconds. You can get more than 12 reps in there. And I was adding up what you could do. And I went, 30 seconds, that's 10 exercises. And I was like, 10 exercises. I was like, wow. So if you did 3 rounds of this, that's 30 different exercises. And then so I started writing them, doing them. And I was more exhausted than what I was when I was doing Insanity.
Yeah.
And I was just like, because they were longer rounds. Insanity is 2 minutes on, 30 seconds off, 2 minutes on, 30 seconds off, 2 minutes on. And I was like, and it's 4 exercises only in Insanity. That's all it is. And you repeat them to hit the same muscle group over and over again. And with this, that's the overload of the same muscle. But with this, I was like, no, I'm going to distribute. So each person that does these workouts can have a full body workout.
Yeah.
And they can actually experience and build their fitness up from the start, from the very beginning. They can build it up, whether you're new to fitness, whether you're someone who's a complete gym rat and in there all the time. It doesn't matter who it is, you will be exhausted doing these workouts. And it's been proven to every athlete. It doesn't matter who they are. I've done it with every one of them. Have said to me after the workout, oh my, the same reaction, whether you're new or you're an athlete. They're all exhausted because they're doing it to their level.
Yeah.
They're doing it to their ability. So their speed and their pace is based on how fit they are. So I'll say, if you can pick up the pace, up the pace. If you can do more than how many burpees I'm doing during it, do more burpees. But you've got 30, but you've got 30 seconds. But you've also got an exercise that's immediately after. You don't have a break. So that's where, and then I pick the exercise afterwards. I pick them very carefully to make sure that not only can you do it, that your heart rate drops so small, it doesn't drop enough where you're not getting a recovery, but then next exercise after that pushes it back up. So I've got ways in which I've devised them where I said to someone, there's a formula behind how they make you feel. It took me a long time to perfect it. That's why now, if somebody said to me, can you come and teach a class? I don't have to plan it out or write it. I could go teach a Fit in 5 class anywhere, because I know exactly how it feels and what I need to do to make everyone else in the room go, like what the hell's going on here, like that. And then I also know how to bring you back to go, I'm going to bring you down now. We're going to do abs, 10 exercises, 30 seconds. It's not going to get any easier. It's just that I'm giving you a cardiovascular rest. That's all I'm doing. I'm giving your legs a rest, but that's all I'm doing. But when we get back on our feet afterwards, it's hit again.
Yeah.
So it works, and I enjoy it, and I'll stick to that formula as long as I live, because it works. And so far, the people that have done it, it's worked for them.
Yeah, I mean, I've watched you do a live on Instagram just last week, and you was talking about your app now.
Yeah. So with my app, funny enough, I was one of the first people in the fitness industry to have an app. And it's so funny because now when you talk about regrets, I don't regret it, but I wish that I just would have just focused on the app. Because I had the app literally 2 years, about 6 years ago, the app came out.
Yeah.
And what I did was I added about maybe 10 workouts to it, and we could have just kept on filming and adding, but I don't even know what happened. I look back at it now, I'm like, why didn't I just keep filming them? And I just didn't. And I think it was my quality control in my head. I think that's what it was. I'm one of those people where pretty much close after the app came out, that was when I pitched the TV show at Sky, because I was working at Sky, and that's when I pitched the show. And I think because I got so involved in the show and the quality of that show, I kind of wanted that quality on the app,
Yeah.
which would cost millions. So I'm thinking, like, I don't know why my brain went there when I should have just said no, like, shoot it anywhere. It doesn't matter what, as long as the quality is good enough where people can see you and hear you, that's all that actually matters.
Yeah, because I guess you could have, in hindsight, this is, you could have got it out there and then evolved it.
Yeah, and evolved it like that, but I didn't.
Yeah.
I kind of grew quicker than what where my brand was. It was like we had an app, and then all of a sudden I've got a TV show, and I'm like, oh my God, what do I do with myself? And then, but now it's great because the platform's there, and the Fitfreaks, the company I started with, Andre Barrett, who I met, who actually, he was coming to my classes at Sky, and he just said to me, you should turn this into a business. And I was like, how? He says, I develop apps. And then we went into partnership. We made our company Fitfreaks, and then Fit in 5 was born on the app. And then now Fitfreaks is now a company to where we just help people get the best version of themselves through our workouts. We do 3 lives a week via the Fit in 5 crew page. And then we have meal plans on there, and we update the workouts every single month. So at the moment, I think there's 85 plus workouts on there. Wow. So in terms of combinations, there's thousands of Fit in 5 combinations you can put together. And there's also like kettlebell workouts, weights, TRX. So I'm adding in equipment as well, so you can see how the formula works with not just body weight, but it works with equipment as well.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's really good. I mean, for the person listening, I think a few messages here is that you don't need to have loads of time to do a workout. That's the key. But the other thing is, if you're one of these people listening and you're on some sort of yo-yo, or you've been on a yo-yo diet and you keep going down that cycle, maybe you should try more of a sustainable approach and make a few little changes, isn't it? That's going to be better for them.
No, exactly. And that's what it is. I think it's just, I always say to people, one of the biggest things that I had a problem with is watching other people's journeys and comparing your own to theirs, especially when you're trying to lose weight and someone seems like they're doing it really quickly and like, oh, what are they doing? But you're not with them every day of the week. You don't know what they're doing. Like you don't know if they've got children. You don't know if they live alone. You don't know if they just go to the gym in the morning, lunchtime and evening because they've got nothing else to do. You don't know. So what you've got to do is focus on you. Like, it's not about how long it takes. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. You've just got to find the formula. And when you see the formulas working, you stick to it.
Yes.
And that is the biggest problem. A lot of people they go, oh, I only lost 3 pounds this week. I'm like, so it's working then. That's what I always say. I'm like, so you lost 3 pounds. So that means it's working. So that little change we made you lose 3 pounds. Oh, well, it's not quite that much. I'm like, well, let's put this into perspective. 3 pounds a week. Let's times that by a month. You'd nearly have lost a stone in 1 month. And if you then did that over the course of the year, even if you did half of that, that would be more than what you wanted to lose in your entirety. Yes. So let's talk about consistency. That's where it comes in. And I think we're all part of a fast food society. We want everything now. If there was a pill that was invented that you could take and they said, you don't have to work out, you don't have to do anything. You take this pill once a day for 6 months and it will bring you down to the weight you're supposed to be. How packed do you think gyms would be?
It's very true. Yeah.
It's scary. But weirdly enough, I think what's really great about gyms now is there's a lot of people that have actually found themselves in a sense where they feel like they need the endorphin release. And that's what I need. It's not just about like the weight loss or how you look. It's like, I like the feeling. I've done 2 classes today. And that's my Monday. And I love that feeling. And if I didn't have that feeling, no amount of like aesthetic or look is going to make me feel better.
No.
I need that release. And I think that's what's going to ultimately change. But there's a lot of people out there that want to do the bare minimum for the maximum results.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. And like you said there, they just do it this way. They will have that breakthrough and they realize what they're going to get out of it. Having the process in place is so much more rewarding than obviously trying to get it like that, which is, everything you got to make as part of a long-term results. That's the best way to do it, isn't it? And I think that's a great way to finish. I mean, it's been great to have you. And I hope you can come on again sometime. That'd be brilliant.
Oh, no, definitely. I'm sure at some point we can get a workout in as well. We'll have to meet up.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that'd be absolutely fantastic, mate. But yeah, thank you very much. And yeah, we'll catch up again soon.
Definitely. Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me.